Hello, everybody. My name is LaVaughn, teacher at the Men's Bible Study Group at the Worthington Church. And this particular video, we're going to cover Lesson 4, which is entitled You Don't Know Like I Know. Now, this is Job's first response to one of his friends after Eliphaz tried to give him some encouraging words to basically kind of change his life and to do some other things. So now we're about to read, or basically just go over a few points, just three main points. It's a little bit deeper than that because it actually covers Job chapter 6 and 7. So it's two chapters of Job responding back. So there's a wealth of information there, but we're just going to cover a few points, but definitely get into it at a later time as far as Job actually responding back. The first time that we actually heard Job said a bunch of stuff, that was just him talking in general when he was talking from lesson 2. Yeah, when he was talking in lesson 2, when he was just talking about, he wished he was never born. But this time, he's actually responding to someone. So, definitely want to get into that. Like I said, we're going to cover just a few points, 2 or 3 points, in this particular video. Now, the first point that we can definitely make comes from the question 4, where it says, What does Job have to say about his friends? And it covers Job chapter 6, verses 14 through 21. It begins, start off in 14. A despairing man should receive loyalty from his friends, even if he abandons the fear of the Almighty. My brothers are as treacherous as a wadi, as seasonal streams that overflow. Now, from there, Job begins for the next several verses, begins to describe how he feels like his friends have basically abandoned him. Basically, meaning that when the water is high and is rising, the people are there, things is going well. But when the stream begins to dry up, they're nowhere to be found. As a matter of fact, in verse 20, it says, They are ashamed, talking about his friends, because they have been confident of finding water. When they arrive, they are frustrated. So this is what you have now become to me. When you see something dreadful, you are afraid. And I thought that was really interesting because what Job is saying is that, yes, when times are good and everything is going well and I have all the sheep and I'm like, oh, I love you, God, and all this other stuff is happening, they're there. They're happy. They're probably there encouraging him and they're having a good time or whatever. But now that the stream is dried up, whether it's his wealth, his health, and all his other stuff, and he's not feeling good and he's spiritually down, they are there kind of to like basically accuse him of something. And he's probably like, really? So when I need you now the most, when my land is barren, you're not there to help. You're just there to criticize. And you know, to Job, that is a big problem. In actuality, that's a big problem in our society as well. Sometimes when people are doing well, we're there and we definitely want to help people. The more you have, the more people want to give to you. They're like, oh, because I know he's going to do this, that, and whatever. But if you're down and out, or if you're having a hard time, then that's when sometimes your resources and when people don't want to help, they're not really there for you. That's why I absolutely love like nonprofit organizations. I mean, good grief, this book, Yet Will I Trust Him, is connected to three of them. And many other books, I say I want to be able to at least do something to help people who are helping others, or training, or educating, or providing opportunity for artists or people on the streets, people who need food, health, whatever. The idea is to definitely want to be able to help people when they are going through hard times. And we have to look at ourselves and say, Lord, what am I doing? What can I do to be able to help someone when they're going down and when they're at their lowest? Whether it's physical, spiritual, financial, emotional, whatever it might be. It might not be all that easy. I'm not saying, you know, it's not easy, but what I'm saying is that what can I possibly do to be of help and to be a resource so that when they're going through, as Job put it, as like a dry, stream, how can I be the one to be able to find a way to give them some water, to be able to give them some help? As you would now definitely notice when you're reading Job, there's a lot of metaphors, but a lot of times that's really good because it takes a thought or a passage or a message, for example, a dry stream, and it kind of gets into there a little bit deeper. Because you can imagine what it would be like when it's wet, when it's overflowing with water, compared to when it's dry and there's no water there. Now, second point that we can actually talk about actually kind of goes right after that first point where it talks about the dry stream and stuff. And it takes place from Job chapter 6, verses 22 through 24. And this is Job basically saying, he continues on his response in that he says, Have I ever said, give me something? Or pay a bribe for me? or from your wealth, or deliver me from the enemy's power, or redeem me from the grasp of the ruthless. Teach me and I would be silent. Help me understand what I did wrong. And I really do love that, because Job is like, have I ever came to you guys and said, hey, I need help with this? Or look at me right now, I'm in trouble. Pain and this type of suffering. I've lost servants, sheep, all this other stuff. Things are going on. Have I ever even told you, ask you to do something illegal for me or do something wrong? He's like, what have I done that you would even say you try to accuse me of trying to be wicked, or you try to accuse me of doing something wrong? Yet, even at my lowest, I haven't even really asked or have you to be able to give me anything. And that's something we have to remind ourselves, that sometimes people are going through, we want to just be accusing or try to get on them or try to say some things, but sometimes that person's like, listen, you're trying to come after me for something. Did I actually even come to you in a way that was bad, that was wrong, or did I try to get from you so that way I can even be better? So I really thought that was really interesting that Job came up with that, and he was like, you guys are going to try to sit up here and try to say something, but when was there a moment, when was there a time when I came to you for any of this, help or otherwise? The last point that we can find is something I was in the book. It was saying, what is Job's desire? It's not quite his desire, but it's something that he was basically saying. And this is found in Job chapter 7, verses 12 through 16. Just going to read a few verses for you, where it says, am I the sea or a sea monster that you keep me under guard? When I say my bed will comfort me, and my couch will ease my complaint, then you frighten me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that I prefer strangling death rather than life in this body. I give up. I will not live forever. Leave me alone, for my days are breath. And I really thought that was really interesting, because he's like, am I some sea creature, some monster, this, that you guys felt like that you need to come after me, that you felt like you're going to try to say some words. Now, this is all after Eliphaz. My only thought is that maybe somebody else might have been mumbling, grumbling. Who knows? But all we do know is that after this, he realizes that, these people didn't come here to really help. They just come here to criticize and believe that they're trying to change me or whatever. And he's like, listen, I'm going through this thing. And with perspective for Job is like, life is but short. It's temporary. It's not there. It's not very long. So, it's one of those cases of like, just let me go. Because he's like, I'm going through this. I don't want to just have to suffer forever like this. This is annoying. It's gnawing at me. And here you guys trying to come up here trying to say some words. He wasn't feeling it. So this was Job definitely responding back to that, saying that this is my desire. This is just let me be. It's almost like just let me be. One last thing I just want to say before giving you the personal question. Well, I guess it kind of relates to it. It's just very interesting that I know when Eliphaz was giving his words to Job, he really felt like he was doing something really, really good. He wanted to be able to say, listen, this is, positive. I'm trying to get you to change your life so that way you can stop going through this horribleness. And of course, Job was like, wait a minute, you're trying to say that I deserve all this? This is insane. So this back and forth what Job had to say. But personal question for this particular lesson is personal question C. It says, people love to give visions to one another in dreams, which is true. We do like to do that. I had a vision from God and he told me to tell you. I've heard that actually quite a few times. Sometimes what people have to say is very general, so it's more like an encouraging word, and it's like, well, thank you, that's really good. Sometimes someone tries to get specific, and it's like, yeah, you're way off. That's not at all what I'm praying for. I hope none of that happens. And it's kind of weird. Like, who are you truly listening to? Yeah, okay. So it's a lot of times people do like to do that. I think they believe it gives weight to what they have to say. Compared to you just encourage someone. Just do that. Don't act like you really had this miraculous vision. If you really didn't, don't act like you did. And then try to spoon feed that onto someone else. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't sound like the Lord told you to say that at all. Because that just muddles up everything. So don't do that. Unless God literally really did tell you to tell someone that. Fine. If not, please just encourage someone to do something positive. But yeah, don't muddle it up. Anyway, how do you believe most people accept them, talking about dreams and visions, Guess you could tell where I'm coming from. Is there a time and place for prophetic dreams? That's just something to think about. And I'm and that's one of those things of, from my perspective, yes, but I think sometimes we try to rely on them all the time. Depends upon who you are, because I think it's like it adds extra credence. I guess that's probably what it is, and it just depends. If you're doing this all the time, then it begins to not be as important. I don't know. It's one of those things where for you to definitely think about. A few times where you can definitely tell about people who had visions or dreams and then told people was in Genesis 37 verses 1 to 10, Genesis 37 verses 1 through 10, and 1 Samuel chapter 3 verse 1 through 18. Definitely want to check out those just for a little background information. But on your own, how do you really feel about that? Visions, prophecies, prophetics, all this other stuff. When people are talking to you about that, how do you respond to it? I don't know. How do you feel about it? What is your message like? Do you like it all the time, or is it something like every now and then? I don't know. It's just one of those things that are kind of personal thing between you and the Lord, and of course, whoever decides to give you the vision, the message, or whatever you might get the vision or the message. What does that have to say? What is that particular message? How do you technically receive it? Anyway, I hope you have a good and wonderful time. Be blessed. Continue on going back to the website, lavari.com/men's Bible study. There you'll be able to see the other lessons and continue on reading through the book of Job in lesson 5. Which of course it was grouped together with lesson 6, but definitely, hey, just the very next lesson for lesson 5 to be able to continue understanding more information, more knowledge, and learn more about the character of Job and how we can allow that and apply it to our lives. Thanks and be blessed. Bye bye.